In today's session, we will continue with the collection. This is the part two. In part one, we have already discussed the list and offline classes. So I have already uploaded the respective notes over Moodle. You can check. In today's video session, we will discuss the rest of the collections. Okay, and we will also discuss few examples based on these collections. Okay. So without any further ado, let's start with what is set. So set is similar to list with just one difference. Okay, it would only hold the unique elements. As you can see in this example, this is how you would create the set. Okay, so in set, even if you pass the duplicate element, eventually ABC would only hold the unique elements. Okay, but just it is just a one difference from list. Okay, list is also same as set, but it would not hold the only unique element. It would also hold the duplicate elements. Set would not. But just as you can see, it would only hold the same type of element. It would not hold the different types of elements. So even if it is set or list, both would hold the same type of element. Either they would hold integer or string whatsoever you have mentioned in the list or set. But set would have this extra feature that it would only hold the unique element. Okay, so you can create immutable or mutable both types of set, but if it is immutable with val, you are not supposed to reassign this. So if you have this variable name, you are not supposed to reassign it to something else. Okay, so this will not be changed. Once it is assigned, it will not be changed. So in case of val, it would be immutable. In case of var, it is mutable. You can reassign this name to something else as well. Okay, so to create set, you have to import this library Scala collection mutable dot set. Okay, so rest all the collections would come into this Scala dot collection. Okay, what are the basic operations you can perform over this set is first you can use let's say ABC is the set, and we can use all these operations on the ABC. So ABC dot head would return the first element, ABC dot tail would return rest of the elements except first. So it would return the set itself, but in case of head it would return the element, but in case of tail it would return the entire set except first element. If you call abc dot is empty, it would return true or false. Okay, so you can use this in the if else condition. Okay, so whether your set is empty or not, you can check using is empty. There is a concat function. Okay, in set you can use dot plus plus to concat two sets. Okay, it would be converted into the another set. You can drop this dot, you can directly use plus plus. How to find max min and such elements? Simply call s1, let's say abc dot max and abc dot min. So even if they would have a duplicate element as a max or min, let's say one would be two times in set, but still it would return one. Okay, because it would not hold the duplicate element at the end. This is about set in Scala. You can remember set by simply remembering this thing, that set would only hold the unique element. It would not hold the duplicate element, but the list can. This is the only difference between set and list. Let's come to map. So map would be a key value pair. So it would have key and the respective value for that. So as you can see in the example, val menu is we have created a menu, a map. We have to use map, and then we have to pass this pizza would become the key, and if you call map by using pizza, it would return 5.5. It is the price of this pizza. So as you can see, we are using menu is the map. Okay, we have created a map and we are passing the key. So for these keys, pizza, pasta and juice, we can find out the price. Okay, so this way it would work on key and value pair. Okay, we need a key, we need a value for that. So this is how you would create a map. And why do we need map? We will discuss through an example. Okay, because if we understand the need of creating map, it will be super easy for us to utilize this effectively. Okay, Let's understand the best use of map would be to find out whether the key exists or not. So if you have, let's say, 10,000 entries, and if you want to find out, okay, if this element is there or not, so if you go for one single loop, it would and go for entire 2,000 times. Okay, we have taken 2,000 values. Okay, but in case of map, it would not take the entire loop because there is a function in map which is contains. So if you pass any key, it would return true and false. So it would say whether this key is there or not. So let's say if we want to create a menu, if we go to a restaurant and we say, okay, do you have the juice? It would say yes. It would, because it would call the menu dot contains method. If we call, let's say, the burger, it would say no. It is directly would say that no burger would be there. So this is how we can use the burger. Okay, and there are other operations as well we can perform over the map. Okay, so a menu, let's say this is map is the menu. Okay, so menu dot get or else, this is something that in this case the contain would be returning, contains would return false in case if that particular key would not exist. But in case if you call get or else, let's say you are finding burger in your menu, but it, in this case when you call contains, it would return false, but in case of get or else, it would return zero. So it means we don't have a burger, but the price of that burger is zero in that case. Okay, we can change it to something else, let's say 10. So today we don't have the burger, but the price is 10. Okay, so this we can use like that. Okay, uh, how to print a map? It's by using this dollar sign. We have already discussed this in one of our videos, that we can use s and then we can use dollar to get the values from the loop. Okay, whatsoever we have taken as a value, we can substitute those value like this. Okay, so simply using map menu, because this is a map, and we can use the initial values, okay, which are key and values, which we can later on use by dollars. Okay, so as you can see, we are using key over here as a dollar and cost as a dollar value. So it will print you all the values like pizza cost 5.5, pasta cost 10.5, and then juice would cost 11, something like that. So this is how you can use for loop effectively for map. You can even create a map through a list. Let's say you have L1 list, okay, which would have the string, let's say, and then you have the L2 list which would hold the price. Then what you can do, you can simply call the zip method, which will zip the another list with previous list. Let's say L1 is the list, L1 is would become the key, and you are zipping these key with the values, okay, which is L2. So if you simply print this menu, it would return you the same like this. It would return like this. It would create a map. So we can create a map using list as well. We can do the reverse of this as well. We can create list out of a map as well. So as you know that maps are made of keys and values. So we can create S1, let's say, is the map. We can figure out the key set, and then we can create it to tool list. So it would return only the keys. If we use dot values and tool list, it would return you the values. Okay, it would return you the values in the map. So based on these, creating a map using tool list, and by using a map, you can create even the list of key and values. There would be an practical. Okay, so I'll discuss that practical as well. Let's come to the tuple. Tuple is very simple. uh, the only difference, if you want to remember, for tuple and list and set is tuple can have different types of elements. As you can see, it is having a string, then float, or the double, or then it is having the integer. Okay, so if you define a variable like this, it would convert into a tuple. Okay, so it is not a list, it is not a set. Okay, and the great thing about this is they are ordered. Okay, the tuples are ordered, but in case of list, they are not. Sorry, in case of set, as you can see, let's come to, they don't maintain any order, so they are just sets. But in case of tuple, they are ordered, they are in a specific sequence, if you pass integer in different way, they would have a specific order. Okay, so two things you can remember. If you compare tuple with sets, set cannot have different elements. If it is integer, it would be integer, but in case of tuple, they can have different elements. Okay, and how to access these elements? By using underscore one, dot underscore one. It would return the first element, or anything else. You can type 10, it would return the 10th element from the set. Okay, you can assign the tuple to another variables as well. Let's say in your tuple you have four values, as you can see: Akash Chauhan 5.7 2021, and you can write like this, and all these values will be assigned to A, B, C, D individually. You can use even the product iterator over the tuple to print all the values. So if you have tuple values, this is the tuple value, it's not capital, it is small. So tuple values, you use product iterator and then for each, and simply write println. Okay, so by using this uh, statement, you can directly print the tuple. Just one thing you should remember about tuple is it can have different element. Okay, different element, different types element. Okay, as you can see, it would return you this string double and t. What is option? Option is another useful collection in Scala. Okay. Sometime if you remember that if you fill a form, some of the parts are optional. Okay. So it means if you fill those options, okay, it would work fine. If you do not fill those data in those blocks, your code should also work fine. It means that particular block. Okay, as you can see over here, the gender is optional. If you write the gender, male or female, your code should work fine. If you do not write, it means if you pass null or none, your code should work fine. But generally, a code would not work fine on the null values or the none values. So Scala provides you this option that you can even provide null or null object as well. Okay, none or null object as well. So your code would work fine on that. Okay, so option is a class which would have two classes, two subclasses. The one is sum and another one is the none. So these are the subclasses of option. So option is a particular class we will discuss with an example. So when you have this situation or course of event, when there would be a null object, okay, where the user can use the null object, then in that case, when you are not sure that it would return an object or a null object, then you should go with the option. So I'll discuss this theory, but let's first discuss the example. So we have a demo. Uh, uh, we will discuss. Let's say this is the demo object, okay, and we have a main method in that. So as you can see, there is a map. Okay, there is a map which is having France. It is actually having the country and or the capital. It is, if you pass the country, it would return the capital. If you pass, let's say, Japan, it would return the capital of Japan. Okay, so as you can see, we are simply calling the show method, which is defined over here. Okay, and capitals is actually, as you can see, the map. So if we use get method of a map, it would return the value. So Japan would be here, the Japan would be key, or India would be key, and the map would find the respective value for that key. Okay, so as you are passing Japan as a key for get, okay, it would return the capital of that country. Okay, so this is how it is working. But as you can see, we are taking capital get Japan, it would return what? Tokyo. Okay, but if we are passing in India as a key which is not there inside the map, it would return what? It would return none. Okay, because there is no such thing over there. Okay, so in case of none, if this is actually none, because there is no such key value pair in the map. So we are passing these values inside a show method. So in first we are passing Tokyo, okay, Tokyo as a string, and then in the second time we are passing none. Okay, so as you can see, here we have created this method with option collection. So this option would have the string as an option. We will discuss what it means, but let's discuss the further code. So this option object can be of two types, which we have discussed over here, either the sum or the none. So the sum would have an object and it would return the same object. So whatsoever you pass as x, as over here it is Tokyo and here is none. So when it comes to Tokyo, it is a string. Okay, it is option is an string. Okay, and it would not go to none. It is saying it is similar to the switch case. It is saying okay, there is some object, so return the same object. So if Tokyo, Japan is a key to get the value, it would return Tokyo. So show Tokyo would be there, and Tokyo would come here. So X would become Tokyo. Uh, so in that case, the case sum s would be okay. So the object is coming, then return the same object. So it would return Tokyo over here. Let's come to the second point. It would say India doesn't exist in the map, so it would return none. So show none would come here. So none in that case, so it would match to none, and in that case, it would return this question mark. Okay. So as you can see, the output of this program would become Tokyo and question mark. So we are able to handle the null values as well because of you. We are using the option collection. Okay. So as you can see, we are using strings somehow. So we have used option as a string. So if we were using over here integer, then we can use option as an integer. But option, whether you pass integer or string, option can handle two cases. Either you pass the null object, which can be handled through none case, or you pass the actual object, which would be handled by the sum case. Okay, so we have two cases in case of option. Generally we use sum and none with option class. Okay, because it would contain the actual object or none of the object or the null object. So generally we combine this none and sum with option. Okay, so when you don't know whether the object would be there or not, then you should always go with the option. Okay, and that is what I have written over here. Okay, and you can go through this. It is just saying the summary of this is basically is in case when you are sure that it would return something, okay, some object, then you should not go with the option. But when you are not aware that okay, it can be null object as well, then your code should handle it. So Scala would provide you an option collection where you can handle even the null values as well. Okay, this is what you are doing. So this is what I have written. You may pause this video and go through this. Okay, one more thing I have discussed over here is actually your sum and none classes are actually the child classes or option class. Okay, so they would handle as a case classes. Okay, as you can see here is we are actually handling whatsoever is coming as an input as a case. So option would provide you two cases. We will discuss in future lectures how to use these case classes. Okay, but as of now you just need to remember these are the child classes of option classes, and it would match the incoming input to these cases and work accordingly. So if there is an object passed into this function, we will return that object. If there is an function which is returning none, this code would work fine because it is returning something for none as well. Okay, so your code would be able to handle the null values as well. So in Scala there is an option. So next the collection would provide you the iterators. It is very simple. Okay, let's come to this example so we can understand what is the use of iterator. Okay, so there is a list of 5 1 2 3 6 4. Okay, this is the list, and if we are finding the iterator of that, so we can use two methods over iterator, which is next or has next. Okay, as you can see, we can access the element using the has next, and we can put it inside the while loop. So we can iterate over list or any kind of list. So with the help of iterator, you can directly define the iterator like a list. This is also a list. This is inbuilt list which would do the same internally. Okay, it would create a list and it would iterate over the list. Okay, so by using has next or next, okay, we can iterate. Generally we use this iterator for manipulating the list. Okay, or printing the list or reversing the list. So we can directly use iterator because it would provide you two major functions, has next or next. Okay. The next element would return you the next element, and has next would actually check if there is a next element. So we generally go like this. To if we are going to print a list, then we would go like this. We use v as an iterator. Has next would return you if it is true or not. Okay, whether there is a next element or not, and then we can print the next element. This would actually return you the element, but has next would only return true and false. So we are done with the rest of the collections. Now it is time to discuss what kind of questions would come in exam and in practicals based on these collections. Okay, the questions related to list we have already uploaded over Moodle. You can go through. We have already done with this practical, but today's question will be related to these collections only. Okay. So as you can see, the first question is simply saying that how to find max and min in a set. So we have already discussed how to convert a two list into map and one map into two list. We have already discussed. I have also given the hint, and we have already discussed this these codes earlier as well in our today's lecture. The third is saying, iterate over a list. This is the same thing we have discussed over here. You can use the same code. You need to have the understanding of this. Should be very clear. Let's come to the fourth and fifth question. This is a little tricky, but it is very simple if you know how to use the functions over a function. Okay, so the question is saying by using collections, find out all even numbers from a range. Okay, so we don't need to define this range one by one. There is a function by this, open and close bracket 2. You can define the range, and we can apply something over this range. So if we want to apply a range from 300 to 400, okay, then you simply use these bracket and use 2. So 300 to 400, it would create a numbers in a list for you, but you have to store these into a list. So it would be a number, but you have to provide them into some kind of collections. Okay, so by writing 300 to 400, okay, and then you use two list, and then you use mk string, and it would separate these values by comma. So it would return you 300 comma 301 till 400. So this is how you would create the numbers. Okay, so by using simple range technique and two list method or mk string, you can create the entire list of range. Okay, so this is one thing we have not achieved this yet over, that how to find the even numbers from a range, but we have understood so far that okay, by using this two range, we can create a list, and we can separate these numbers by comma. Okay, so we would have 300 301 till 400. Okay, so how to find the even numbers? We have filters. So we have filters we can apply over these range, and let's say the filter, for using filter you have to call the filter dot filter, and then this would underscore would find take all the values one by one. Then you are taking the modulus, and it is saying, oh, if it is 0, then to those numbers add to a list and separate them by comma. So from this range 300 to 400, it is applying this filter. It is taking 300 302 304 till 400, all the even values. So we have achieved this by find all even numbers from a range by using filter, toList, and mk string method. Okay, the fifth practical is by using collections, find out the first 30 even numbers from a range. So in this case, we don't need all these numbers because it would be around 50 numbers. We don't need that. We need only the first 30 even numbers. It means from this range, we only need first 30 numbers. We don't need till 400. We just need the first 30 numbers. 300, let's say 360 till 360 we need from this range. Okay, so there is a function called take in Scala. So after applying filter, okay, this is the same filter I have applied over here to find out the even. You simply take first 10 numbers. So according to our requirement, we can make it 30. Okay, So it would not take, the entire series. It would take only the first 30 even numbers, okay, from your from the uh, from the collections you have created. Okay, so this is how you would handle. I have provided these hints in the practical as well, so this would be your practical, okay, for this lecture. This would be, I think, 11th or 12th practical. Okay, and these are divided into 5 parts. I have already uploaded it over Moodle. Okay, and uh, all the practicals I have discussed over here. So for that 11th practical, you can refer this video. Okay, it would be super easy for you guys to handle and make code for this practical. So this is all for today. I think it is almost 95% we are done with the fourth unit. Only one or two topics are left, theoretical topics. But main practicals of Scala we have done already. Okay, in fifth unit there is no such practicals as such. Our practicals are still only this unit only. But still, if I find some practicals, I'll upload. But these are the major practicals we can done in Scala. Okay. Fifth unit is also very theoretical. It would require only 2 lectures. I'll be able to cover the fifth unit in 2 lectures because it is all theoretical. Okay. But still, I'll find some coding questions from fifth unit as well, very basic. So this is all for today's lecture. Okay, and we are done with the collections. So thank you so much, guys, and have a good day.